Level 1, GS5, Intern Analyst. The badge feels heavy around your neck. It shouldn't. It's just plastic. But it represents something you spent 4 years earning. You walk through the security checkpoint for the first time. The guard barely looks at you. You swipe your card. The door clicks open. The office smells like stale coffee and recycled air. Fluorescent lights hum above your head. You find your cubicle. It's smaller than your college dorm room. Your first task arrives by email at 8:04 a.m. Log review, flag anomalies, report by end of day. You stare at the screen. Thousands of lines scroll past. IP addresses, timestamps, failed login attempts. You don't know what you're looking for. Nobody told you. You're supposed to already know. Your fingers hover over the keyboard. You start reading. By noon, your eyes burn. By 3 p.m., your back aches. By 5 p.m., you flagged 47 potential anomalies. Your supervisor reviews it in 30 seconds, circles 3 of them in red. These are the ones that matter, she says. The others are noise. You nod, you write it down, you go home and study for 3 more hours. Level 2 GS7, Junior Analyst. You know what noise sounds like now. 6 months in, the logs stop blurring together. Patterns emerge. You start seeing the architecture beneath the data. Someone is probing port 443 from an unusual subnet. You catch it before the automated system does. Your supervisor raises an eyebrow. That's the closest thing to a compliment you'll receive this quarter. Your Security Plus certification is framed on your wall. You're studying for your CEH. You sleep 6 hours a night, sometimes 5. The work doesn't stop at 5 p.m. anymore. It follows you home. You check your encrypted work email on your personal phone, even though you're technically not supposed to. You run your first phishing simulation on 200 government employees. 63, click the link. 63. You write the report. You feel something between frustration and satisfaction. The vulnerability isn't in the firewall. It never was. It's in the people. Level 3. GS9. Cybersecurity Analyst. Your clearance upgrades to secret. The briefings change, the language changes. The weight of what you're protecting becomes tangible. You're no longer monitoring generic traffic. You're monitoring networks that carry classified communications, infrastructure data, personnel files for people you'll never meet, but whose safety depends on your attention. You're assigned your first incident response. A contractor laptop connects to a foreign IP at 2:17 a.m. Your phone buzzes. You're already awake. You throw on a jacket, drive 40 minutes in the dark, and arrive at an empty building with 3 other analysts and 1 very nervous department head. You work for 11 hours straight. Turns out it was misconfigured VPN software. But for 11 hours you didn't know that. For 11 hours it could have been anything. That feeling, that cold specific dread, becomes familiar. You learn to function inside it. Level 4, GS11, Cybersecurity Analyst. You lead your first penetration test. A mid-sized federal agency. They're confident in their defenses. The department head shakes your hand firmly, tells you his team is solid, tells you they passed their last audit. You breach their network in 4 hours and 22 minutes. Not because they're incompetent, because every system has a seam. You know where to press. You write a 47-page report. You document every vulnerability, every misconfigured permission, every unpatched endpoint, every human who clicked something they shouldn't have. The department head reads it in silence. He doesn't shake your hand again. You understand. The truth is never comfortable. Your nights are filled with training. Red team tactics, threat intelligence frameworks, MITRE ATT and CK matrices. You memorize attack patterns the way musicians memorize scales until they become instinct. Level 5, GS12, Senior Analyst. The nation-state actors find you before you find them. That's not how it's supposed to work, but that's how it works. You're assigned to a task force, classified environment, no personal devices, phones in a locker outside the door. Inside the room, the air feels different, thicker somehow. Everyone in this room carries clearances that don't exist on paper. You're tracking an advanced, persistent threat. APT. The name makes it sound manageable. It isn't. They've been inside a government contractor's network for 14 months. 14 months of quiet movement, slow exfiltration, Patient, methodical, invisible. They never rushed. They never triggered a single automated alert. You find them because of a 3-millisecond latency anomaly in a backup server. 3 milliseconds. You stare at that timestamp for a long time. Then you start pulling the thread. Level 6, GS13, Cybersecurity Specialist. You brief the director for the first time. The room is not large. The table is. Every chair is filled with people whose names appear in news articles. People who speak to senators. People who make decisions that ripple outward in ways you can't fully trace. They look at you. You present your findings. Clear, precise, no filler, no hedging. You've rehearsed this 17 times. You know the data cold. When you finish, there's silence. Then the director asks one question. You hadn't anticipated it. You answer anyway, honestly, including the part where you say, "We don't know yet." Nobody respects false certainty in this room. After the meeting, a senior official stops you in the hallway. "Good work," he says. "You've been doing this for 8 years. That's the second compliment you've received. You hold on to it." Level 7, GS14, Lead Cybersecurity Engineer. You build the architecture now, not just defend it. Build it. Design the systems that will protect the next generation of classified infrastructure. Every decision you make today will live in these networks for a decade, possibly longer. The pressure is geological, slow, constant, enormous. You manage a team of 12. Some of them are sharper than you were at their level. That's good. That's what you want. You push them harder because of it. You stop sleeping before major deployments, not from anxiety. You've trained anxiety out of your system. You stop sleeping because there's always one more thing to verify. One more edge case, one more failure scenario nobody else thought to model. You model it anyway. Because somewhere out there, someone is already thinking about it. Someone is planning. Someone is patient. Level 8, GS15, Shati, Cybersecurity Program Manager. The policy briefings are daily now. You sit in rooms where cybersecurity and geopolitics dissolve into each other. A vulnerability in a power grid isn't just a technical problem. It's a diplomatic problem, a national security problem, a problem with consequences that spread beyond any network diagram. You write doctrine, actual government doctrine, language that becomes official guidance, frameworks that shape how thousands of analysts across dozens of agencies respond to threats. You remember being 24 and staring at a log file, not knowing what you were looking for. You wrote the manual those analysts are now reading. There are nights when that feels like enough. There are nights when it doesn't. Because doctrine is only as strong as the people who implement it, and the threats are evolving faster than any policy document can track. You start pushing for something bigger, a unified response architecture, cross-agency, real-time, adaptive. The idea gets reviewed, revised, reviewed again. It takes 2 years to become a pilot program. You don't sleep much during those 2 years. Level 9, SES, Senior Executive Cybersecurity Director. Your name is on classified memos that reach the White House. Let that settle for a moment. You don't announce it. You don't think about it much because thinking about it is a luxury you can't afford. But sometimes, in the silence between briefings, it surfaces. You started reading logs in a cubicle that smelled like stale coffee. Now you brief cabinet officials on digital warfare scenarios. The attacks you track aren't probing for credit card numbers. They're probing for election infrastructure, water treatment systems, air traffic control, the invisible architecture that makes ordinary life possible. If that architecture fails, millions of people feel it. Not as a news headline, as darkness, as silence, as taps with no water and phones with no signal. That's what you're protecting. That's what it has always been. Your team works across time zones. Some of them you've never met in person. They trust your judgment because you've earned it across 20 years of being right more often than you're wrong, and being honest when you're wrong. Leadership here isn't authority. It's credibility. Final level. Classified. The call comes on a Tuesday. No warning, no context, just a number you recognize, a voice you trust. We need you in the SIF now. You're already moving. The building is quiet in a way that means it's not quiet at all. You see faces you haven't seen in years, analysts who never share the same room, People who work in compartments so separate they don't officially know each other exist. They're all here. You sit down. The screen in front of you shows a network map, a network you've never seen before. Infrastructure that doesn't appear on any public registry. The breach indicators are unlike anything in your threat library, not because they're sophisticated, because they're familiar. Because you've seen this signature before, years ago, in a file that was subsequently classified beyond your clearance level. A file you were told was resolved. How long have they been inside, you ask? The room goes quiet. Someone slides a folder across the table. You open it, and everything you thought you knew about the last decade, every operation, every patch, every briefing, suddenly looks different. The question isn't how they got in. The question is whether they ever left. The screen flickers. Your badge still hangs around your neck. It's heavier than ever.